Are you kidding me? You make a video called Israel Admits Giving Aid and Comfort to Enemies of America? That's the most blatant lie. America itself has supported the rebels for the last 7 years. There are tons of Sunni groups fighting in Syria. You can't lump them together under the banner ISIS. If you want to bring up Haaretz or some type of validation and proof for what you're saying, then bring up the part about why Israel is helping these people and who they are helping. You Holocaust-denying anti-Semites always find the couple of words that agree with your perception, and then you ignore the critical sentences which disprove your claim. It says in this article in Haaretz, since then a steady stream of similar reports continue to detail Israeli contacts with the Syrian rebels, with the best being written and researched by Elizabeth Cherkov. In February 2014, she wrote an outstanding feature for War on the Rocks, where she identified Liwa Versin al-Jolan and Furqat Ara-Nara as two groups benefiting from Israeli support, named by Iyad Moro as Israel's contact person in Beit Jenin, and stated the weaponry, munitions, and cash were Israel's main form of military aid. So Israel is there to help its neighbors who are against the Hezbollah and Iran and Bashar al-Assad. Writing for Foreign Policy in September 2018, Tsurkov again detailed how Israel was supporting the Syrian rebel factions, stating that material support came in the form of assault rifles, machine guns, mortar launchers, and transport vehicles, which were delivered through 3 gates connecting the Israeli-occupied Golan to Syria. She also described how Israel has supported its allied groups in fighting local affiliates of the Islamic State with drone strikes and high-precision missile strikes. So, anti-Semite, what does that say there? She said that Israel's helping them with drone strikes against ISIS. Against ISIS. Strongly suggesting, in my view, the presence of embedded Israeli liaison officers of some kind. So Israel, not like you anti-Semites say, Israel was fighting ISIS. These are Syrian groups who are homegrown rebels who are against Assad and ISIS. Here's an article in March of 2017. It says, Syria rebels want Trump to know they're the ones fighting ISIS. The Free Syrian Army, that's the FSA, is hopeful for more support despite the president's praise of Bashar Assad. This is by Akbar Shahid Ahmed. Syria's main anti-government rebel coalition hopes to keep U.S. support by pointing to successful advance against the so-called Islamic State, and wants President Donald Trump to turn his talk of safe zones in the country into a U.S. plan for no-fly zones. So what part of that do you not understand, anti-Semite? America and Israel working on the same side, both assisting the decent Iraqi people and the Sunni religion to fight against the barbarian Assad and to remove Iran, Hezbollah, and ISIS from Israel's border. Do you actually believe that United States of America don't have the knowledge of what Israel's doing every second of every moment? And here's the article from Haaretz for September 8th, 2018. It says, Israel secretly armed and funded 12 Syrian rebel groups, report says. Israel supported rebel groups to push Iranian-backed forces and ISIS fighters away from the Israeli border, foreign policy reports. Israel discreetly funded and armed at least 12 rebel groups in southern Syria in order to keep Iranian-backed militias and Islamic State fighters away from the Israeli borders. Anti-Semite, did you hear that? They supported groups to fight against ISIS. Foreign Policy magazine reported on Thursday. Foreign Policy's Elizabeth Surkov interviewed more than 24 members of the rebel groups who reported that Israel's support took place in recent years and ended last month. The weapons transfer, according to a report, included assault rifles, blah, 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 blah. These crossings are the same ones through which Israel transferred humanitarian aid to Syria. According to Tsarkov, Israel paid each rebel approximately $75 per month, with additional money transfers for the groups to purchase weapons on Syria's black market. When Bashar Assad forces retook South Syria in July, rebel groups expected Israel to intervene due to the support they received, sources told Cherkov. One fighter said, "This is a lesson we will not forget about Israel. It does not care about the people." So this lady journalist, Cherkov, does it sound like she was speaking to an ISIS member, or does it sound like she was speaking to somebody homegrown, a Sunni militia who was fighting against all these people? So if you have any common sense, if you could read into how the man described his complaint against the Israelis, you would know that this is a man who grew up in Syria, because the way he explains it, he says they don't care about the people. This man is concerned with keeping his ancestral land. He's not some wacko ISIS member trying to take over other people's properties and land in order to establish a caliphate. So, Holocaust-denying anti-Semite Michael from RTR Truth Media. The average person who's not a Holocaust-denying anti-Semite, who would they believe if presented with the evidence? A renowned journalist, an accredited journalist who has actually gone to Syria and interviewed these people, dozens of them, or a guy sitting in some bedroom behind his computer just making claims like you and Morphonios and the other jackals do? And you know the answer to that very well.
These Sunni fighters are known as the Sanadid, or the Braves. In the northeast of Syria, they represent the principal Sunni Arab force against the Islamic State organization.
At the moment, it's impossible to study, but when the war is finished and when we're done with these vermin, we'll go back to school.
With the jihadists close by, clashes happen almost daily.
You're aware of which roads they come by. They come in through the valleys.
The Sanadid benefit from air support offered by the international coalition, but they say they're lacking in almost everything else.
We're lacking in water. The lack of electricity causes problems when we need to recharge radios. When the Islamic State group attack us at night, we send signals from one unit to the other using tracer bullets.
Is this position under fire?
No, it's the next one.
They fired on the car, so we covered them from our position. It was an ambush. I saw 4 of them.
The car may be riddled with bullets, but the driver is unharmed.
We're used to it. It's not the first time it's happened. We'll fight to the death to free our land.